Hey, what's up guys? So I wanted to make a video on some slide research results that I've been doing recently. So slides have been an issue in the community for a while. People have never really known how they worked, why you clip sometimes, why you don't. You can see the example here. We've got two slides that look pretty much the same. One makes it through the wall, one doesn't. I'm going to explain why that's happening. So for my testing, I did this all on emulator. I basically locked Ebisu's horizontal position against the wall here and his vertical position so he can't move up or down. He can only move straight towards the wall. And then I basically moved him various distances away from the wall to see which slides worked and which slides didn't. So I made a spreadsheet here that shows these distances where they worked and where they did not. So this starts at the furthest distance away from the wall and gets closer as the spreadsheet goes down. These red areas are where the slides did not work, and the green areas are where the slides did work. So for a long time it was thought that the range for a working slide was kind of between a close and far distance. Like as long as you were not too far or not too close, it would work. But it turns out that's not the case. If we look down this spreadsheet, we can see there's kind of various windows where a slide will work. So furthest away, we're going to get blocked. There's going to be a small window where we can make it through. And as we move closer, we'll get blocked again. But there'll be various points where we actually can make it through the wall between those far and close ranges. And you'll see this pattern repeat itself as you get closer to the wall here. So basically, instead of one good area between the farthest and closest you can get to the wall, there's actually a lot of small windows where the slide will work or where it won't work. So here's an example of how small those windows actually are. It's not much to work with. It's kind of hard to see in this picture because these windows are so small. But from the upper left to the bottom right, Ebisu is going to be furthest from the wall and then get closer. And you can see why people might think, slides were RNG or, you didn't have much control over going in the wall or not, because these distances look about the same, but some will work and some won't. Luckily, if you're mini Ebisu, you have a lot more fidelity in your movement. You can move a lot smaller distances. So if you try to make setups based on very specific points on textures on the ground, you should be able to come up with consistent setups for pretty much every slide. So let's look at why this is happening. So here's a very slowed down animation of an Ebisu slide. You can see that there's kind of gaps in your position as the game moves you forward. So when you start a slide, you start off a little slow and then you accelerate a little bit. And as you move, you're not moving over, every pixel on the ground. You're kind of jumping forward a little bit. And that jump forward is what's going to let you pass through that collision detection against the wall. So I've got an illustration here to kind of explain this a little better. So you can imagine here that this big blue box would be Ebisu's hitbox when he's normal size. The small blue box would be Ebisu when he is mini. The black lines are just reference markers for distances. And you can imagine that brown wall would be a line, and the red area would be the collision zone where the game's not going to let you move forward anymore. So you can see if you're full-size Ebisu, as you run towards the wall, no matter where you start, you're always going to hit that red zone and be pushed out. But if you're mini Ebisu, you can see as you translate forward, there's going to be places where you can actually get past that collision zone because your previous position is going to be outside of the collision detection, and then your next position is going to be beyond it. This also gives you an idea of how those windows would work. So if you look at that first black line where Ebisu starts out, anywhere to the left of that blue square is going to be able to make it past the collision detection zone, while if you go to the right of that first black line, it's going to not let you through. So hopefully this picture gives a little better idea of what's going on there and why some slides work and some slides don't. From what I can tell, it has everything to do with those working windows from the wall. I need to do a little more testing on angled slides to see if those windows change in size at all, to see if maybe some angles work better than others, or if you always want to be perpendicular. But for now, I would say your best bet is to find a spot on the floor where you can consistently slide through, and as long as you're perpendicular to it and your distance is exactly the same, the slide should work every time. So hopefully that should clear up some confusion on why some slides work, why some slides don't, and make your slides more consistent in the future.